Now it's time to set your DraftKings Fantasy NASCAR lineups. Initially, start to lock them in before practices and qualifying. And for that, we do this every week with Sean Engel. Sean finished first place in 5 DraftKings NASCAR tournaments last year, top 5 in 8. So, Sean, let's get right to it. For the Auto Club 400 in California, most recommendations for this week have Kyle Busch as the must-own driver at $10,300. He's third highest on the salary ladder, but you have to consider Jimmy Johnson's won 5 times at this site. Is he the slightly better pick? If I had to ask you Kyle Busch versus Jimmy Johnson, who you're picking is why, although I know both of us will try to front-load our lineups with both of them when we do multi-entry.
Well, it's true that Jimmy Johnson has won at this track 5 times and even has a higher average finish of 6.4 compared to Kyle Busch's 9.3 average finish, but I still think Kyle is the better pick over Jimmy due to consistency. Kyle Busch has so far finished in the top 5 in all races this season, which is something Jimmy Johnson has not done this season. And in the previous 2 races in California, he competed and actually won both of the races, not counting last season due to an injury. But Kyle is really hot right now, and I would definitely use him over Jimmy.
Kevin Harvick's coming off a big win. He's priced at $10,500. Would you consider using him over Johnson or Busch this week?
Harvick, I think, is going to be a good pick, but the only way I can be convinced to use Harvick over Kyle Busch or Jimmy Johnson this week is if he started back in the pack like last week's race at Phoenix. Harvick has a lower average finish at 12.9 at California, as well as a 73.7% of overall laps completed in the top 15, which are both worse than both Kyle Busch and Jimmy Johnson. I think Harvick will contend for a top 5, but not be the ideal pick to win like Kyle Busch or Jimmy Johnson.
Dale Earnhardt Jr. has 209 DraftKings points over his past 3 races and driving with a lot of confidence as he's really like near the top of that pecking order at Hendrick now. Is he one of your favorite picks of the week at $9,600?
Dale Jr. has been performing very well this season for fantasy owners, and I don't expect that to change this week. Jr. has a positive place differential of positive 74 at California, as well as a 3-year average finish position of 6.6, which are both very appealing stats that make me recommend him as a great pick this week.
Matt Kenseth has 19 top 20 finishes and 23 career starts in California. Would you use him in cash games at $9,900, and does he have enough upside to use in tournaments?
California is one of Matt Kenseth's best tracks with an average finish of 10.1, which is very solid and pretty convincing for a cash play. However, his upside for a tournament is really going to depend on where he qualifies. Kenseth hasn't been running at his best this season so far, with only one top 10 finish so far this season. I think Kenseth has great potential for a top 10 with 3 previous wins. I would only use him in a tournament if he happens to qualify well outside the top 10.
Talking to Sean Engel at SeanMan247 on Twitter. You can also check out his video game playthroughs and information. Is Brian Vickers the top bargain play of the week in 5,400? He is in the number 14 car for the injured Tony Stewart again.
Brian Vickers has a good history at this track, so he definitely is a good bargain this week. He has an average finish of 14.6 and a 3-year average finish of 7.0. It also doesn't hurt that he is riding in Stewart-Haas racing equipment, which will only improve his chances for a better finish this week.
Denny Hamlin has a average of close to 20 finishing position at Fontana. He's 8,900. Is that money worth spending, or should I look to spend that money elsewhere?
Although Hamlin's stats are okay at this track, such as completing 66.3% of all his laps of California in the top 15, you can spend your money on Carl Edwards at $9,100 or Kurt Busch at $9,500 respectively. Both drivers have an overall higher pass differential and completed more laps in the top 15 than Hamlin.
Danica Patrick has finished 19th to 21st in the past 3 races. She's really starting to show some consistency here. Is she one of your favorite bargain picks at 6,200?
Although she has finished 19th to 21st in the last 3 races, and her salary of $6,200 is quite low, how much I like her this week depends on where she ends up qualifying. She was a great bargain last week due to her starting far back, and if she does qualify around like 30th or so again, I think she's a fantastic bargain pick with a 19.7 average finish that will help convince fantasy owners that she's worth that $6,200.
Is Brad Keselowski worth the risk at $9,200?
For his $9,200 price tag, Keselowski is a bit of a risky play this week. Apart from his win at California last season, he never finished higher than 18th in a race at California. He is a part of Team Penske, though, who has been having success over the past few races and looked to be on pace for a strong performance this season. So overall, I think Brad might be good as a bit of a cash game play, but for a tournament, I would again use Carl Edwards instead, who was $100 cheaper with better overall stats at California.
Yeah, very exciting finish last year. Keselowski actually winning on the last lap in this event, taken away from Kurt Busch. What about the other Penske guy, Joey Logano, only 3 top 10s in California. He's priced at $10,000.
Joey may only have 3 top 10 finishes at California, but keep in mind of this. 2 of those last 3 top 10 finishes were within his last 3 races, including a third-place finish in 2013. His past 3 races at California were all a part of Team Penske, which he's a part of now. And despite not winning a race yet, he has 2 top 10s this season, and if it wasn't for a late pit stop last week, he would have 3 top 10 finishes this season. Overall, I think he will be worth the value this week.
Matt DiBenedetto is coming off a top 20. Do you like him this week at 5,700?
DiBenedetto has been a bit of a surprise this season for fantasy owners. For his low salary of $5,700, he has achieved an average of 18.7 fantasy points over the last 3 races, which is better than most drivers around that price. I expect him to continue his solid run this week, especially if he qualifies around 30th to 35th.
Who are some other top bargain picks that you're looking at for DraftKings NASCAR this week, Sean?
One value pick I really like this week is Regan Smith. He has a really low price tag of $5,600 and produced a 23.8 average finish with an overall positive 6.4 place differential so far this season. Apart from him, I also am really liking Austin Dillon at $6,700. He has been very successful this season, finishing no worse than 11th. I expect Dillon to be competitive for a top 10 this week, and fantasy owners should continue to take advantage of his strong start this season.
Who are some drivers to avoid this week, and then tell me who's going to win this race?
Someone I would avoid is Clint Boyer. His asking price of $7,000 is not worth it, and he has had a bad start this season with his highest finish being 22nd so far, and a negative place differential in half of his races so far this season. I would wait for his price to be lower before using him at any point this season. And as for the race winner, I think the race winner will be Kyle Busch. He won this race the last 2 times he competed in California and is looking very, very strong this season. He also finished in the top 5 in every race so far this season, and I think it's only a matter of time before he ends up winning a race. And I think this week presents one of the best chances that Kyle Busch has to win a race this season.
All right, Sean Engel at SeanMan247. Before we let you go, those who follow you on Twitter know you're a big video gamer. What's the game that people should be playing right now?
Well, there is definitely a lot of focus on Tom Clancy's The Division, but I'm actually excited to go out and buy Pokken Tournament, you know, with the brand new Pokemon fighting game that's coming out actually today.
All right, Sean, thanks a lot, and good luck this week. We'll be doing our lineup Sunday morning.
Thank you. Good luck to us, too, and good luck to you all out there playing.